It's the last full moon of the year, the last lunation of 2025, and it's a supermoon. So what does that mean for us? Hi, and welcome. This is Brian from Green Gardens Healing, and here is your Lunar Destinies cold moon reading from a shamanic healing perspective. On Wednesday, December 4th at 6:14 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a super full cold moon at 13 degrees, 3 minutes of Gemini. So to see how this full moon affects you personally, you will want to locate which house 13 degrees of Gemini falls on your birth chart. And that will indicate what in your life is being activated by this lunation. This full moon is in Gemini, which rules the mind and all the mental fields that make up our mental body. And this full moon is illuminating what you're thinking, what's been on your mind, what you're processing. And this astrological configuration is asking us to make some choices, because this full moon is being squared by the gates of fate. So we're being asked to take inventory of the thoughts in our daily awareness, as well as the thought forms that are in our deeper awareness that we may not tap into every single day, but still come around every so often. Do we have the right thought forms taking up the correct amount of space in our mind? If not, then we can honor and process these thoughts that have been following us around so that we can clear our mind for creating the next version of ourselves and our lives. Now, I know this is easier said than done because it took me personally decades to figure out what honoring and processing my thoughts actually means. So I think doing some investigation and learning how to honor, process, resolve, and clear the thought forms in our mental body will be a fruitful exercise. In this quick little video, I can tell you it takes time. The pendulum of our thoughts will continue to swing in and out of our awareness until we settle and dissolve the energetic cord that is feeding this thought form. And that this is the time-consuming part because it's not a one-and-done release like I once thought. It actually requires actively addressing these thought forms every single time they manifest into our mental awareness. This full moon in Gemini is ruled by Mercury, which focuses on the daily patterns, behaviors, and routines. So this is an area of our life that we should be examining with a microscope. Have we created the best possible daily routine for ourselves, or can we make some refinements? Finding which astrological house this full moon is illuminating is paramount for this lunation. I know there are certainly some adjustments that I can make in my life, like eating dinner earlier, eating less, being more advantageous with my time, and keeping up with the cleaning and chores of our home. And for those of you that know me and have been to my house will think I'm crazy for saying these things, but keeping a pristinely clean home is good energetic hygiene and keeps the dark energies, spirits, and demons away and facilitates peace, harmony, balance, inspiration, creativity, and a love for my home and my family, which for me is needed for my health and well-being, which are all great places for me to bring more attention and focus into improving. However, this full moon is in my 8th house, which governs my shared resources. Therefore, this is where I should have special consideration while I'm addressing my daily patterns and behaviors. This means that December is a time for us to reevaluate our lives on a day-to-day level. Now, helping us through this transformational process of realigning our day-to-day life is the sun in Sagittarius, which is opposite the moon, as it always is for the full moons. which is opening us up to the bigger picture of our life and our purpose. This dynamic is also nourishing us with positivity, excitement, and joy during this process, reminding us that transformation doesn't always have to be so heavy. We can also choose to move through certain transitions with grace, gratitude, and a positive outlook. Now, some transformations we face in life are, by nature, dark and heavy. It's part of the human experience we all agreed to. And in those moments, we do need to allow ourselves to remember the dark side of our nature too. Allow me to explain this with nature as our teacher. As we move into wintertime, much of the plants die down to the ground, returning themselves back to the dark, fertile soil of creation for another opportunity to be transformed once again, to be part of a new life, a new cycle, a rebirth. This transformational process is part of nature, and because we too are also part of nature, this blueprint of transformation already resides within every cell of our body and every energetic particle of our being. And just as Mother Nature teaches us, both the light and the dark, heavy soil is needed for successful transformation. Therefore, we need to allow ourselves to access both the light and dark sides of ourselves, meaning there might be some moments in our life that were scary, that were sad, that were overwhelming, perhaps even life-threatening. And in those junctures, we must be able to honor those difficult moments until our emotional response to these past experiences are yes and thank you. Again, a lot easier said than done. And these junctures tend to be our life's work. They take a lifetime to resolve and are best done with a guide, mentor, or a healer that has walked this path before and can provide an outside perspective and a roadmap to guide you along this journey of resolution. However, this full moon isn't about the deep and heavy stuff. It's about the day-to-day stuff, reprioritizing our daily routines, behaviors, and habits, which, in my opinion, is how we actually make big shifts in our life, which is what is on the horizon for 2026 being a number 1 year and the year of the horse, which I'll make a video within the next month or so. So what changes and choices do you need to make in your life while the full moon is squaring these nodes of fate? Where do you need to reprioritize? What needs to go for something new to grow? This is a cosmic crossroads that we can choose to use to level up or choose to remain as is. The universe over the past 5 years especially has turned up the volume and has been flooding us with an abundance of divine opportunities to jump timelines, to reshape our reality, to rebirth ourselves in the most magical ways. This ascension amplification will not last forever. The gates of fate will eventually narrow their opening as we either choose to move in accordance with the divine influences that are shaping our reality, or we choose not to. And as each timeline begins to further divide and separate, which we can all clearly see, feel, and experience in our daily lives, right? Life has never been so polarizing. It will be increasingly harder to jump from one trajectory into the other trajectory of the collective consciousness. My guides have informed me that we have approximately 4 or 5 more years of this amplified ascension opportunity before we settle into which bifurcation of the collective consciousness we choose to experience. Do we choose to experience the path of ascension, or do we choose to experience and stay what we are familiar with and go down that path? To some, this may seem like a lot of time, 4 or 5 years, but from my experience, a lifetime worth of experiences to consciously honor, process, resolve, and fully meet with a yes and a thank you does not happen overnight. It takes years to unpack and allow the pendulum of our mind to find peace and resolution within it all. It took me years, at least, to fully embrace and heal my relationship with my father, as an example. Allow yourself the time to move through these transitions with grace as we continue to meet the unprocessed experiences of our life and continue to meet them as their waves return again and again, each time an opportunity to go deeper, further, and to restore more peace and presence to our human experience. If you feel like you need any clarity or guidance in navigating the wake of these junctures in your life, I would be honored to offer my support. I hope you enjoyed this full moon reading, and if you would like to learn more about the spiritual wisdom of the cold moon, you can watch my video on the spiritual wisdom of the cold moon, which will be linked below. I hope you enjoyed this full moon reading, and I will see you guys again on December 20th for the new moon in Sagittarius. Until then, lots of peace, love, and joy. Bye, guys.